All right, let's finish up the last film in the standalone Alien franchise films. This is, of course, not the last one that I will be doing because of the Alien versus Predator movies, but for the standalone films in the franchise, this is the sixth and final as of right now. Now, when I went to see this movie in theaters opening night, I kind of was blah about it. I kind of was like, oh, that was okay. And here's the key. My expectations, because as we all know, expectations are the death of enjoyment. I expected this to be a specific kind of Prometheus sequel. I wanted a lot of Numi Rapace and them going to this planet and kind of further exploring the galaxy and trying to find their makers and their creators. And that's not what I got. But what I did get, and why on this viewing, my second viewing, I actually really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. What I did get was a sequel to Prometheus, but just not in the way that I had wanted. And that's a big problem for a lot of people. There's expectations. That's why sequels are so hard. That's why sequels so oftentimes fail with people or fail to live up to the original, because with the original, they went in with no expectations. Everything was wide open. But a second movie has to stay true to the original while being its own thing. And that balance is fucking tough. And this is a franchise where they made 4 movies, then a long period of time passes, then they make a prequel that a lot of people, because of the title and kind of the vagueness of the promotional stuff, weren't even 100% it was alien related. And then they found out it was alien related, and then the next movie is just called Alien again, Alien Covenant, which I guess people are like, oh wait, is this going to be connected to Prometheus, or are we ditching that one now, or like, shouldn't this be called something else, or what's going on here? Like, I feel like with Alien Covenant being the title and the ship in that movie being called the Covenant, that Prometheus should have been called Alien Prometheus. I mean, Alien Prometheus, Alien Covenant would make sense, right? But yeah, I mean, 4 films, then a long break, then a prequel, then a sequel to the prequel that's a prequel to the original. It's a hard sell. But what, of course, is going to get people really excited and get their expectations even higher and their demands and their hopes even more outlandish is that Ridley Scott is returning to the Alien franchise. And this time we're going to see actual xenomorphs. This time is an actual alien movie for sure. This isn't Prometheus. So the expectations are, extrapolated from there. So I think that this movie had a lot going against it when it was released, and I think maybe people's expectations got the best of them. Now, as far as stupid decisions, I've seen some comments saying there's a lot of dumb decisions in this. I felt like that more with Prometheus than I did with this one. The only real, stupid decision that I saw in this one, and this is a questionably stupid decision, is when Orem, played by Billy Crudup, goes over and looks into one of the eggs, and the facehugger comes and grabs him after David assures him that it's safe, I promise. Fucking liar. That was one of the only moments where I was like, this is stupid. And then, I don't feel like a sex scene is them being stupid, but it does feel out of place just because of everything that just happened. Now, people celebrate and grieve in different ways, and maybe that's the way that they do their thing. They're like, you know what? Everyone else is dead. We might as well enjoy each other. Let's fuck. I don't know. Maybe they weren't even gonna have sex. Maybe it was just a sensual back massage and a shower. It's not technically a sex scene. It's like he's not like ramming into her or anything. He's just kind of massaging her back and washing her hair. I mean, they could take a shower together and it not be sexual. It can be sensual. There's a huge difference between the two. So people call it a sex scene. I mean, I kind of just did call it a sex scene, but I'm recanting that a little bit because thinking back about the scene now, yeah, it's two people taking a shower together, but have you not ever taken a shower with your lover and washed her hair and not fucked her? I mean, you kiss her and you touch her tits and you can do all those things, but, you know, sex in water sucks anyways. Who the hell wants to have sex in water? It's awful. You do that one time and then you're like, I ain't ever doing that again. So yeah, I mean, the decisions, I don't know. I think that going to that planet makes the most sense. Yes, Daniels points out that she thinks it's the wrong choice, too good to be true. When that happens, it's not a good thing, this and that. And she ends up being right, yes, but I don't agree with her assessment there. And so I don't find that to be a dumb decision. And there's nitpicky things you could pick out and be like, this is dumb or that's dumb or whatever, but I don't find anything in this movie to be overtly idiotic. And the whole twist, I mean, obviously we're talking spoilers here, the whole twist at the end, yes, it's pretty, pretty easily, figured out here, I think. I think they telegraph it. Okay. I think just because we're so used to that kind of thing, we always expected of it. But they did a good job of hiding that Walter was actually David. I think that when he comes back on the ship, the way that they are smart about hiding it is the fact that he is so obediently trying to help dispose of the xenomorph, and earlier in the movie he was doing everything he could and was so angry and upset when Orem was trying to kill the neomorph, as Daniel White, thank you Daniel White for schooling me on alien lore. I was like, oh, that was really cool in the Xeno, and he's like, no, it's a neomorph. So the white ones are neomorphs. They remind me of something out of like maybe Silent Hill, or maybe not Silent Hill, but something else I've seen that's like that. They look like they're out of something else. All right, so I did watch the prequels to this before I went, or well, actually after, I'm sorry. I watched them after. I meant to watch them before, but I had forgotten. Whatever, doesn't matter. But it is Alien Covenant Prologue, The Last Supper, and Alien Covenant Prologue, The Passage. And The Passage actually has Noomi Rapace in it, and I have to believe those are deleted scenes from Prometheus. I can't believe she just came back to shoot those sequences to just be on some like 3-minute video they were going to throw up on YouTube for connectivity. It's cool to think she would have done that, and it's possible. I just wonder. I assume, but yeah, it just. I'm still bummed there was no Noomi in this. I would have liked to have seen her. I would have liked to see her in the movie and explain what happened. Just have her death scene in the movie. But we do get an explanation of kind of what happened there. We get to see her putting David back together. We get to see him putting her in that sleep chamber, which we find out later she's cut up in and he's been experimented on. And I'm guessing, the way her chest is ripped open, that he was breeding something inside of her. And so in the Last Supper one, we get to see in the movie with his wife, with Daniels, or his girlfriend, I don't remember if they're married or not, but James Franco's character, who is, only in the movie in a video for like 10 seconds when he's like rock climbing with his friends. And that's it. And it's like, James Franco, holy shit, he is a big name actor, and they're just gonna burn him in a sleep pod and then throw him in a video for 10 seconds, and then he's in the Last Supper prologue for maybe like 10 seconds, 20 seconds at best. So he's just wasted talent to me. You have someone like James Franco, it's like, why not use him? Like, it's such a weird thing. Maybe he just last minute they had like no, James Franco was like, I want to be in an alien movie. What are you guys doing? You already cast everybody. Can you get me into anything? And it's like, well, this guy's only in the minute movie for 2 seconds. He's like, well, I want to be part of the franchise. Fuck it, throw me in. I don't care. I'll be in it. So I don't know. It's just odd for me that they would hire somebody like that and then not use them. So I don't know. All right, so and the whole opening here with Wayland and David and the whole banter back and forth, the conversation that they're having, I think is great. And the whole, and who created you, Father? And that's kind of what sparks this thing in his mind. Like, that's the age-old question, and that plays really heavily into Prometheus. And David points out the fact that he's never going to die and Wayland is, and that is Wayland's crutch. We know that that's why he kind of puts Prometheus together and gets on board and all that stuff, is he wants to live forever and he's jealous of his own creation. And as I had said in Prometheus, that movie's all about creation, and this one furthers along that theme. It plays here as well. David is obsessed with becoming a god, becoming a creator, becoming, going against his agendas and what directives he's been given and what purposes he's been giving. He doesn't like humans. I mean, he says in this movie outright that they don't deserve a second chance, and he's not going to let us have it. And every time anybody trusts him and goes into a sleep chamber, they don't ever wake up from that shit. So yeah, David's character is so damn intriguing to me. He is by far the best thing about both Prometheus and Covenant, because just thinking of a android who is created by man in his image, and he's an older model that has the ability to create, and Walter is of a newer model, and they take away more human attributes because they've proven difficult. That's not a surprise. Fucking humans, have you ever been around them? But they take away those things so that they are not as problematic. And David comes from that older generation that's more human, but he has this desire, this innate desire to find purpose and to create. That's what he says separates him and Walter, is that Walter has had the ability to create taken from him, and he tries to connect with Walter, tries to get him to see, tries to get him to go against his programming, to open him up to what David can see. And he, I think he's an android, and he doesn't have human emotion like he thinks he does, and he tries to overcompensate by that by finding love, or at least exploiting what he considers to be the something resembling love, so that he can exploit people with it. But I don't know, the way he talks about Shaw, the way that he talks about Walter in that moment when he kisses him, when he looks at the love that maybe, because he tries to convince Walter that he's in love with Daniels, and he's like, no, it's duty. Like, this is not me. I'm not you. You think you're in love with Shaw, and look what you fucking killed her. Like, I don't think you understand love. I think you just want to understand it because you want to feel more real. And he's just such a fucking interesting character to me. And a robot created by humans who creates an alien race to replace a inferior human race that created him in the first place, because he doesn't feel like we have a second chance, and he's made perfection in the xenomorph. God, man, I love it. I love that character. I could fucking talk about it all day with people. So, yeah. Anyway, this would be a great thing to talk about in a podcast, just kind of bounce ideas back and forth, but there you go. Also, just I'm kind of jealous of him because he can never die unless killed, but outside of that, he's going to continue to keep, well, not forever, and I mean nothing's going to last forever, but he's going to last a hell of a lot longer than us. I mean, he's going to deteriorate after a while. Matter or only can stand the test of time for so long before it whittles away to nothing. But regardless, he has a much longer lifespan than us, and he has the ability to Matrix-like jack himself into things and learn whatever the fuck he wants instantly. So he can play the piano, he can play any instrument, he can learn any damn thing, and he has all that vast knowledge at his fingertips or his data point, whatever the hell he probably uses to upload. I don't know. I'm guessing he has the ability to actually upload more and update himself. But I do like that there's that scene between David and Walter there when Walter's telling him and they're having that fight and he's kind of besting him in battle, and after he stabs him in the neck and he thinks that's the end of him, Walter's able to come back from that and tell him, like, there's been a couple upgrades since you've been there. Like, I'm a better version than you in every way. And that's what he says. But ultimately, he loses the fight. So David's still got a few tricks up his sleeve that this newer, better model can't seem to cope with there in the midst of it. And then, all right. We got the Alien title card here, which is kind of cool. The music in this movie, it slightly reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. I just kept thinking it the whole movie, and I couldn't help but point it out. And Daniel's having to watch her husband burn in front of her. That's really fucked up. Seeing Danny McBride in here is interesting because we know what he goes on to do in the horror industry after this. I think his first footsteps into the horror genre, which this movie's absolutely horror, 100%. There's other genres mixed in here as well, but horror is one of them and probably the strongest of them all. This is almost a straight up slasher movie. The way people are dispatched and killed in this movie. We even have the, as I said, it might not be a sex scene, but it is a shower sequence with a girl and a guy in a shower, and the girl gets one dude gets his head ripped out, and the other girl gets her, body fucked up, whatever. We see their bodies on the ground, and that's another thing, man. This movie's got some great gore in certain sequence. That neomorph that comes through the guy's mouth is fucking fantastic. Holy shit! I was like, wow, that looks awesome. And then the other guy as well, when his demise comes, and there's a lot of really cool kills in here that I was surprised about. So I'm a big fan of that. And Daniel was telling me that he didn't care for the CG and that they created all these amazing practicals and blah blah blah. But I really enjoyed it. I was pretty surprised. I was like, I thought everything looked pretty damn good. There's a couple shoddy little sequences, but very minimalistic. Honestly, I was like, no. This looks pretty good. So I don't know. I'm kind of on board with what they did with the Xenos and everything. It made the movements and the longer wide shots and stuff be able to have more fluidity to them. They could run around and jump around, and you can't do that practically. Unfortunately, it just can't be done. And so they did it here, and I thought it all looked pretty damn good. And the whole idea of they always do this in movies. They always take a planet that's brand new, which I'm just fascinated by. Is just imagine landing on a new planet that you've never seen, no one's ever seen, and just being able to explore it for everything. Yes, you see what can happen. You can find some freaking little spores that you kick and they go up into your body and fly into your ear, and then you're fucking coughing shit up and shit's ripping out of your back. That was another really cool scene where the thing just comes right out of his back and just falls out. Oh, it looks amazing, man. Gross as hell and just bloody fantastic. But imagine exploring a new planet. Like, this planet has been almost all but explored, except for maybe like the lowest depths of our ocean. But besides that, man, it's all been looked at. It's all been explored. It's all been photographed. It's all been, experienced. And going to a new planet is just fascinating. I think that is fascinating to anybody who has a curious mind like myself. So yeah, I mean, but the thing they do in these movies is that they'll go to a planet that's vast, where planets fucking 26,000 miles around, right? And this one, who knows, probably, something similar. And somehow they always land in the right spot. And when they're there, like David later in the movie, we find out that he killed everyone that was down below, and it's like, that was everybody on the whole planet. There's no one else. Like, where do the rest of the people live? If you went, I don't care what city you pick, the biggest city in the world. I mean, the biggest city in this country, or the biggest state in this country, is California with like 30 million people. If you nuked every single inch of it tomorrow, there would still be like 7 billion people left on the planet spread out throughout the rest of the world. So, like, that was it? That was all of them? Like, when he threw that down, the illness spread? Was it like a zombie apocalypse there for a couple of years? I mean, he was there for 10 years, but he dropped the entire payload right on that group of people, or beings, or whatever, humanoid type creatures there. And that's it? They're all gone? Or just that area is now kind of quarantined by the rest of them? And I don't know. The fact that it just seemed like he killed them all. It's like, did he really? They were all right there? I guess. I mean, maybe this is explored and explained in the movie, but if it is, I totally missed it. And I already said all that stuff. The Z, when the fucking Neo's coming around and he whips his tail, just like the crocodile movies I was watching lately. He rips the guy's jaw off. Oh, that was fantastic as well. And Michael comes and saves the day, so he's kind of their savior there, and he comes in and almost like, some hood. He looks like a hooded figure, like some freaking kind of monk savior kind of character that they do with a lot of these characters. Anytime someone comes in and you're not supposed to see their face, they always have a hood up and they like walk away, and then they throw their hood down and they have that reveal in the moment. And then when they get to that like town square area where he killed him, and you have like that Pompeii setting where all the bodies are just kind of like encrusted, that was a great shot. Really ominous when they get there. And I like that David uses the weapons of these guys on themselves. They drove their freaking ship right back to them, or flew their ship right back to them, and used the weapon that they were gonna fucking eradicate species with, and just unleashed it on all of them, and their bodies just disintegrated. And well, they didn't disintegrate because they were still there in mass, but were kind of infected from the inside out, and they just were absolutely decimated by these things. I loved that look of all of him just coming back there and laying that shit out. A lot of cute chicks in this. Daniels is very good looking. It was cool to see Amy Smets in here, who I really like from some of the horror movies that she's been in. The chick who played Rosenthal was really hot. The chick in the shower was really hot. So we got a lot of good looking ladies here. So never want to not point that kind of stuff out. And we find out that David is the creator, as we said. I mean, we've kind of already talked about this enough, but it's weird to think that David is responsible for the xenomorph that we know from the Alien franchise, the Sigourney Weaver Alien movies. We know now that David created them in kind of a fuck you anarchist type move that he made against humans. Like, I'm going to make something even better than you. And humans then had to deal with that perfection that he made. And the Orem scene, as I kind of already pointed out, is a silly sequence, but whatever. I kind of look at it as more of trust and curiosity on his part. And then he already talked about all that shit. And then What was he doing on Shaw? I'm really curious on that. Obviously, he was experimenting on her and using her as a host of sorts, or at least, yeah, in some capacity. And the friggin' now in the Last Supper, yeah, in the Last Supper one, we find out that Damien Bakar, however you say that guy's name, he and this other guy in the on the ship are homosexuals with one another. I don't think they explore that in the movie, but they make it very clear in the prequel there. But he actually gets a face hugger on his face. They cut off one of the limbs. It burns his face a little bit, but he gets it off. And he's not infected, so it is possible to get those things off of you when they get on you. I did not think that was possible, but he proves that it is. I think the ship fight is super thrilling. I love it. She grabs the thing. It's almost like a callback to the, get away from her, you bitch. The loader scene from Aliens where she grabs them, but this is a bigger crane with a claw on it. I thought that whole sequence, she's flying around under the ship, he's jumping over all around, and she crushes him inside the thing, and the blood's all spraying. Love it. I think it's a great action sequence. And then I think the sequence where they're in the ship and they're fighting, and it's in the cars, and the car's coming down, and then the car's sliding down, and she's standing right there, and the alien jumps at her, and she drops down, and it smashes into it, and it falls off the ship. I think it's great. I think it's a really fun, thrilling sequence. And then when she finds out, if you guessed it or not, I don't really care, because I think her realization, you can sit there all prideful and be like, I figured this out. See, movie's dumb. I don't know. Sometimes that can be the case, like the Mommy Dearest movie, or what was that? No, Goodnight Mommy. Mommy Dearest, that's a different movie. Goodnight Mommy. Yeah, I figured out the twist, and it actually hurt the movie for me, because I was like, am I supposed to not understand this twist 2 minutes in? Because I think everybody did, and that was like the biggest gripe anyone I knew talked about it with. But with this one, it's like, yeah, I had guessed, but then I was like, I don't know. He's helping out, so I'm kind of unsure. And then it's like, oh shit, he is. But to just be outright like, I knew it 100%. Really? 100? It was kind of like, fuck, they're going that way. Because it was kind of they had that moment right there at the end. Do they take it this way or do they not? And really, it was kind of up to them. And it was like, did they take the really dark ending with David? Or did they take the lighter, happy ending with Walter? And in that moment, they decided to go darker, which makes more sense because we know the xenomorphs continue to exist, that they thrive from there. So somehow they had to be created because they got rid of everything back on that planet. Although, I guess anyone could have just returned to that planet, it wouldn't have mattered. But David is the creator of them, and he's going to take that ship with all the 2,000 inhabitants, and he puts her in. But when she realizes, that's what I love, and you can see her heart rate. Like, we don't get to see that much. We never get to see, like, internally somebody figuring something out, and her heart rate just kind of starts elevating a little bit as she starts to realize and put things together. And then it's like really starts to get going when she 100% confirms that is actually David, and understands the weight of what that means, that she's about to put her to sleep, there's no way out of there, and she's never waking up, nor is anyone else on that ship. So it's kind of a kill sequence where she doesn't die, she just goes to bed, but you know what's going to happen. You know that he's never going to be. And it's Michael Fassbender. I mean, the guy just can't do any wrong in my eyes. I think he's amazing. And we find that he snuck these face huggers in his throat. He had them logged in there and whatnot. So cool stuff all around. I really enjoyed the shit out of this movie. I'm so glad I went back and watched it again. Thank you to Hallgrimur for making me check this franchise out again. I will get to the Alien versus Predator movie soon enough. But for now, that has been the Alien standalone franchise. Adios.